taking up the palms. You're not supposed to heckle at a DVD shooting, sir. It's like heckling at a wedding. I've had 3 of the best heckles on this tour. Do you know that? I was in a country town, Shepperton. Is it Shepperton? And this couple came in 20 minutes late. I said, "Why are you late?" And the guy said, "Milking." And his wife said, "Not me, the cows." It's very weird. It was in Sale on this tour. This woman was so drunk she had to be helped up to heckle me. Yeah, and it's not a good look. And I said, "You all right?" She said, "Get your cock out." And then she fell over, right? As if that's the last thing she had to say. Before being moved on to the... And quick as a flash, right, I had to reply at some point. I said, "Oh, I'd love to get my cock out, yeah, but I'd have to move the front 2 rows." Thinking that was the end of it. No, this guy stood up and went, "Move them, yeah, closer." Actually, my favourite heckle on the tour, well, it wasn't really a heckle, it was more of a point of order. It was actually in Mount Gambier on that very first gig, and I was kind of asking questions because I was kind of building up the show. And this guy asked me about the cricket, because this is 6 months ago, the Ashes had just finished, and we loved the Ashes in Scotland. We found a new way of telling the time in Scotland during the Ashes. You wouldn't talk about what time you left the pub the night before from the clock. You'd talk about what England cricketer was still in bat. It was a more precise way of dividing up the minutes and seconds there. What? Is that? What time did you leave? Just after Hogarth. What about you? Just after Flintoff. We must have just missed each other. So this guy who'd asked this question, he assumed that I was supporting. He said, "Ah, mate, your boys took a hammer at the cricket." And I straight away had to say, "Well, it's not my boys, that's England. You know, we don't play cricket in Scotland. Ever. If you ever see a guy with a cricket bat in Glasgow, he's not on his way to the village green." There's a very good chance he's just popped out for a pint of milk. Stay nice and close behind Daddy, kids. Nice and close in behind Daddy. We don't like cricket in Scotland. We like a fast-paced, edge-of-the-seat sports, like snooker and darts, ice curling. We're quite good at that. It's played on ice. Anywhere north of Aberdeen, it's a method of putting out the rubbish in the morning without fucking leaving the door. You know, you just slide the... Shit, one of the bags has burst. Come on, 3 of us. Come on, let's go, 3 of us. Come on, 3. But other than that, we're kind of Scottish football fans, really. Do you know, you don't really get Scottish football here. It's magnificent, but in a kind of lovely bleak way, we love it. Because you just don't, you know... I was watching an American football game the other day on television, and I noticed something that made me think you'd never get that in a Scottish football game. The manager was... They mic'd up the manager so you could hear what he was saying. 4 down and 9, 2 down, up, 2 twos or 4, and, you know, all that. I thought you'd never mic up a Scottish manager. Imagine all you'd hear him from the side of the dugout is, "Stevie! Stevie!" Well, fucking use it then. Because that's the difference. If you watch Spanish football on TV, it's so much more glamorous than Scottish football, you know. And the coach, when a coach is about to bring on a substitute and describes to him what he wants him to do, it's like a piece of art. Hey, and the player always knows what he's been told, so whereas when Scottish football players are brought onto the pitch, they just get a whack up the arse. Fucking sort that shit out! No, but this guy, he asked me about the cricket, this guy in Mount Gambier. And I said, well, you know, I haven't really been watching it much, but I did watch the last test, and I did notice that there's a huge difference for me between Australian cricket and English cricket. You know, Australian cricket is kind of played by everyone. It's kind of like yeah, let's have a game of cricket, mate. Yeah. And whereas English cricket, it's a very privileged sport in England, cricket. It's played by the, you know, the ha-ha-ha's, you know, the bloody good innings, Giles. Let's go back to Tabitha's. I'll put on a gimp mask. You can give me a bloody good thrashing. But... and sledging. Sledging's a very interesting concept because that's really an Australian side to the game. The old, you know, fucking, yeah, how's your mum doing, mate? She all right? Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. That's... Whereas in England, it doesn't, you just don't get sledging. You know, the worst it gets is, oh, you loser, you know. You know. But I was watching the last test in a pub in Melbourne, packed pub. And it was a brilliant bit of sledging by Glenn McGrath, right? Glenn McGrath is bowling to an English batsman, and he's, you know, he's doing all this, and you know, don't know what's happening here. Some kind of pulley system, I think. And then he runs, Glenn McGrath, and he bowls, boom, and the ball just misses stumps by a tiny bit. Everyone in the pub in Melbourne, ooh. But Glenn McGrath, I swear to God, he continued his run. He got quite close to the batsman, and he went, oh, you lucky cunt. And what was great, I was killing myself, but then the commentator just went, well, what do you think he said there, Tony? Oh, I wouldn't like to say, Bill. So to get to the story, right? This guy in Mount Gambier has asked me that, and I've told that story you've just heard. And he puts his hand up after it, right? And I was like, you don't need to be so polite. He said, oh, Danny, mate, sorry to interrupt you. Just to let you know, Glenn McGrath is a right-handed bowler. It was a good gag, mate, but I couldn't concentrate. You came in with the left, you should have come in with the right. And everyone in the theatre just went, oh, it's a bloody good point. It's a bloody... I knew there was something wrong when I was looking at it. I couldn't work it out. I love that about you Australians, that brutal honesty. That, no, he's made a fucking mistake, mate. Someone's got to tell him. Yeah, I could tell him later, but it's fresh in me head now.